All right, and I tell you, I can't wait until we get to the point in the year when the temperatures for the morning lows tomorrow are afternoon highs. It's been another warm and miserable afternoon in terms of that summer heat, and unfortunately, we've got more of that summer heat to talk about. We also have an opportunity for some storms coming up tomorrow as well. We'll talk more about all those details here in the forecast segment overnight tonight. Like I said, I wish that the afternoon highs were into this temperature range because it's going to feel like some of those early spring afternoons tomorrow morning, warm and humid, anywhere from about 78 degrees all the way to maybe 84 depending on the location. Really warm start, and that's unfortunately before we get to a pretty warm afternoon. Once again, highs are going to range anywhere from 101 to 108. Now, it's going to cool off once we get past tomorrow, and that's because we have a system on the way. And that's going to bring us some rain chances, maybe even some storm chances. Now, it's just one of those type of events where right before we get that round of cooler air, and I'm putting in quotations just because it's not going to be that cool, the atmosphere, it starts to kind of prime up and it feels like we crank the oven up and it gets a lot warmer before it gets cooler. So ingredients will be at play. We're going to be unstable tomorrow. There will be an opportunity for some strong to severe storms. Not everyone's going to see that activity, but we'll break that down for you here in just a second. So really warm afternoon. Now for the remainder of today into tonight, there is a low potential for maybe a couple strong to severe storms in southwest Missouri, far northeast Oklahoma, maybe parts of northwest Arkansas, but we're not expecting anything widespread. Like we've been saying, you could get a couple of storms, and then maybe one or two of them pushes some strong to severe limits. Main risks today are going to be mostly the wind and the hail potential. We've seen some scattered thunderstorms in the River Valley so far as of this update. Really nothing going on for the rest of the area, but later tonight there could be some storms. Now, we're not expecting widespread severe weather like we mentioned. Overall, the risk is pretty low. Here's a look at the rain chances for tonight, and this continues all the way into tomorrow evening. And you can see we're already highlighting a pretty high potential for some rain and thunderstorms in southwest Missouri. We've been mostly showing this as opposed to Future Scan radar. We'll show you what that has to say here coming up, but Future Scan's handled things terribly. It's been one of those tools that it's kind of 50-50, and sometimes it's just not worth showing. We've had a couple of days with some thunderstorms where it showed absolutely nothing. So that's why it's great to have these in-house algorithms that we have here exclusive to Weather 225. You're not going to see that anywhere else. So here's our rain chances as we head into tomorrow. Here's a look at what we got from the Weather Prediction Center for their forecast for rain totals between tonight and tomorrow night as well. And you can see some of us could see maybe a couple tenths of an inch, maybe close to an inch of rain. We're not expecting necessarily widespread activity. So as we head into tonight and then once again tomorrow, not everyone's going to see the storm activity. It's just something we want you to be aware of. As we make our way forward, good news is we don't have any sort of outlooks both today or tomorrow for the fire weather potential. So good news is we can just pass on by that. And some technically good news for morning commuters, at least. When you get this warm and this humid, there's not a whole lot of ingredients that are at play for fog activity. So here's a look at the Foghorns morning fog outlook for tomorrow morning's commute. You can see nothing's really highlighted in terms of any issues. So be sure to support Foghorns like they support us. We're so grateful to have them here on the channel. So we're headed into football season. It's a great opportunity to go out there and enjoy some good food and drink. Cheer on the Razorbacks, just because I know we got a lot of Razorback viewers here. So if you want to, support them, be sure to check them out, whether it's a home game or an away game. Great atmosphere, great food, great drink, everything along the lines with that. So grateful to have them here on the channel. Be sure to support them like they support us. Coming up, we got to look at that extended forecast. We're going to break down the risk for severe weather tomorrow with what we know as of this evening. We'll talk more here coming up. All right, now that we've talked about pretty much the overnight into tomorrow morning, let's move on to Future Scan Radar. This is the culprit of not really doing anything great in terms of its output. So this is why we're telling you, take it with a grain of salt. It's not going to be helpful because, again, tomorrow, it's not showing any storms. So with that, I'm going to just let it roll on out and just tell you, Models are a very helpful tool, but the reason we want you to tune in, not only do we like your clicks and views, obviously that helps our business tremendously, but we want you to tune in because if you see the models anywhere, if you look at it yourself online and head on over to any of the various model websites that have that data accessible, you're going to look at this and go, well, what are they talking about? And this is why it's important, because we've got our information that's kind of behind the scenes in addition to Future Scan, where we can look at the environment and go, I think that's supportive for this, and we can take we can take an educated guess based off of our thoughts on it, our gut instinct, and some other things that Future Scan can't play into. So we've had 3 or 4 days actually in recent memory where we had scattered thunderstorms across the area and it showed nothing. So this is why it's not helpful for this risk. Storm Prediction Center and our algorithm are pretty locked on for an area in portions of southwest Missouri, northwest Arkansas, technically parts of the River Valley and northeast Oklahoma. And this is going to be a little bit different. And I want to be cautious when I say that, because I don't want you to think, oh, here we go, it's a big weather event, right? Well, it's a little bit different from what we've seen recently. We've had low end risks, but notice we're now in the medium risk area. What does this mean? Nothing scary. It doesn't mean doom and gloom. It just means that there's a little bit higher of a potential for organized severe weather. It doesn't mean that everyone from Joplin all the way down to Jasper, Huntsville, and Branson is going to see severe weather. It just means that the conditions are more favorable than the last couple of setups that we've seen. So we have a low end risk for a large portion of northeast Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas, a small portion of the River Valley, larger portion of southwest Missouri has that medium risk. So let's break that down for you. But I just want to let you know, if you got weather anxiety, this is not something you need to panic over. We're just giving you a heads up. Tomorrow, there is a potential for storms. We want you to be aware of it. We're going to be here in the studio. This is our job 24/7. So we'll be here in the studio and we will be covering these if needed, when needed, all of that. So be sure to follow us for the latest information. This is the overall risk, breaking down the potential. And if you're new to the channel, you're probably looking at this going, well, what do those colors mean? It's not that there's anything wrong with the Storm Prediction Center. We just have an in-house algorithm that combines with what the Storm Prediction Center highlights, and it breaks it down based off of the likelihood of severe weather. So low chance you see storms in the areas in blue, medium potential for some strong to severe storms in the area you see in orange, and we rarely see high, and I can't remember the last time that we actually saw the extreme risk highlighted in our coverage area. So that's just kind of to break it down for you on what those mean. Now, there is going to be a low end risk for tornadoes, and this is for portions of southwest Missouri and northwest Arkansas. Does this mean that we are going to see tornado warnings, plural, multiple? Absolutely not. It just means that there's going to be favorable enough conditions that we can't fully rule out the tornado potential. So it's not zero, but it's not in the high range. There is a highlight from the Storm Prediction Center here, and you can see it's the lowest risk that we have. And even though it only highlights basically Harrison and Branson, I do want to be mindful for the rest of northwest Arkansas. It's not guaranteeing a tornado, but we just want to be alert for the low end potential. Same with the rest of southwest Missouri. We're going to be extra cautious and just keep an eye on that low end potential. But the main risks are going to be damaging winds. That's going to be anywhere from about 60 to 70 miles an hour. Could we see a couple of storms that are a little bit stronger, maybe 75 miles an hour? Maybe. There's no highlighted risk for, the 80 potential, but we've seen a couple of days recently where the risk wasn't high, and we saw some storms pushing some 70-mile-per-hour winds. So there is going to be the potential for that. Again, not everyone's going to see that. There's also a potential for some hail, quarter to maybe ping pong ball size. That's going to be my guess with that. And the timing, as of this evening's update, looks to be late afternoon into the early overnight. So kind of typical for this region, unfortunately. So we'll just keep an eye on that and make sure you're staying weather alert later tomorrow, just because I know it's not going to affect everyone. Not everyone's going to see storms, but you want to be alert just so you're not caught off guard by storms. So don't just assume that because not everyone's going to see storms that you're going to be the one that absolutely sees nothing. We just want you to stay tuned to the forecast. And I know this is going to be a little bit longer, so we're going to kind of just rush along through the extended forecast because I know you're tired of hearing me say it. It's hot and humid. There is some good news, though. Notice we're not in the bright reds anymore, so we're in the oranges for above average. So maybe not as extreme with those temperatures, and even better news, both of these are the 8 to 14 day outlook, by the way. normal range for precipitation, no longer in the below average. So maybe some good news. We could see some precipitation. So we're not going to highlight any sort of weather alert day. It's not the most significant severe weather risk. So, we don't want to, we don't want to alarm you, but we want you to know and stay informed. So again, this is a no-nonsense outlet. We're not going to alarm you over a risk if we don't think it's going to be some high-end potential. We're also not going to underplay it. We're no nonsense here. I want to give you the information that you need to know. Again, there will be a risk for all hazards of severe weather, including tornadoes, but tornadoes are the lowest risk. The timing is going to be late afternoon into the early overnight. You're going to want to stay weather alert, have ways to receive those alerts, but it's not going to be this massive, scary outbreak, anything along the lines with that. So we're not going to alarm you, but we're going to let you know, hey, we got that opportunity. Just stay weather alert, have those ways to receive alerts, and we'll get you through this and any risk here in the area. So it's not the highest risk that we've seen, but it is a little bit on the higher scale. So we're going from low to medium. We've had several low-end risks recently. Now that we're kind of pushing into the medium zone, we just want you to be a little bit more aware, not because it's a higher-end severe weather event, but because ingredients a little bit more favorable today, later tonight, than they have been recently. So just be mindful of that. Next 7 days, at least we're not seeing as many triple digits on the board for Northwest Arkansas. So I got some good news there. Unfortunately for the River Valley, still some triple digits. Same with Northeast Oklahoma, but I got to say, at least we're going from 107 to 102. So that's technically cooler weather, right? I know. I'm getting tired of talking about the heat. I can't wait until fall arrives and we can start talking about the pumpkin patch, fall activities, seeing the trees turning red and orange and yellow. The beauty of it from both what the trees look like and the temperatures. I can't wait to talk about that, but unfortunately, I'm stuck talking about triple-digit heat. Now, there is some good news for Southwest Missouri, maybe a little bit cooler by the time we get to Thursday. So we got some good news, but unfortunately, I don't have the best news, and that would be highs lower than 90. So stay here with Weather 225. Of course, tomorrow, if weather becomes an issue, we're going to be here in the studio tracking things 24 hours. We're already live 24/7 on YouTube and on our website, but when severe weather occurs, we're going to be here in the studio live tracking that, and we will be doing live coverage. So follow us, make sure you have those push notifications on, and stay tuned. We'll have the latest here tomorrow.